Consoles broke their deal, now PC is king. If I may interject, PC's been king. All right. I don't know if you've heard, but the PS5 Pro is pretty expensive. I'm not here to write about that because it feels as though everyone in games journalism already has, and they are right. It is. PlayStation is committing to producing the best console possible, expense be hecked. While Xbox's strategy of making a cheaper model has backfired, with many cross-platform games no longer willing to optimize their games for the Series S, meaning Xbox as a whole misses out on some gems or faces long delays, the answer to this, many would tell you, is to embrace PC gaming, but I'm not quite there, and maybe I never will be. With the PS5 Pro costing $700, it's pretty close to the price you'd pay for a decent gaming PC, a PC that would also do other things, like stream movies and music in high quality, offer mass storage space, and probably also have a keyboard that sounds neat, has flashy RGB lights, you know, the stuff PC gamers like. PCs are also capable of a higher level of visuals. While Alan Wake 2 looked good on PS5, higher end PCs could push it even further, even though the content of that game was absolute balls. Personal opinion, sorry. PC gaming and console gaming are two different worlds. Yep, they are. For many people, PC gaming is the only way to play. It offers the chance to tweak settings to the finest minutia for every game. The mouse and keyboard controls offer more precise movement and control. Headphones and other peripherals tend to be crisper and have more chance of being compatible, and PC gaming is also far easier to integrate with tools like Discord. No one needs to sell me on PC gaming. I get why people think it's good. It's just not for me. My complaints with PC gaming are childish. I fully admit that. My brain hurty from settings. Bum hurty from chair. Okay, this isn't gonna work. Bum hurty from chair, me like sofa. Remote access, which is free on Steam. You can remote access for free through the biggest PC platform there is for gaming. You can turn on your PC and then start up the Steam Link app on your TV and go connect a controller to it and play on your couch. So this, I'm sorry, is not going to work for me. But that was always the deal. If you play on PC, you get your own private Idaho. You need to pay a little more for the privilege, and will need to update it as often as you care to be on the cutting edge. You can build something tailored to you in a personalized gaming space and get to treat it into your little RGB cave with headphones on to fully immerse yourself. Consoles have always been a more family affair. We all had them in our bedrooms as teens, sure, but as consoles have embraced being entertainment devices with Netflix installed, and as the gamer demographic has aged into adulthood, they have become downstairs items plugged into the main TV. You get to relax on your sofa, get out of the work environment that many associate their PCs with, and play video games with a controller. You can't change the settings that much, your aim isn't as precise, and some gadgets won't work properly, if at all, but the trade-off is that you never need to mess with it, and it's cheaper. Now that deal has been broken. I don't agree with a whole lot of what's being said. This feels like the old sentiments of what the differences were. And it wasn't necessarily all that long ago, but it has changed in large part. We'll discuss it. I talk about it a lot. Many people will point to Nintendo keeping up with its end of the bargain, and I agree. The Switch is modestly priced, has a bunch of great games, and has always lived up to the play handheld or play docked philosophy of the console's design. With excellent exclusives that arrive at a decent pace, it's a good console to own. The only major downsides are pre-owned games that never really come down in price, poor online connectivity, and it's old as balls. The Switch needed an upgrade years ago. The hardware in the Switch is severely underpowered. The device itself will forever be considered industry defining. Absolutely. It's a great device. It has changed the way people think about video games and video gaming, especially hardware wise. It has prompted so many other developers, especially on the PC side of things, to start creating handheld devices, which is why I kind of disagree with all the notions this author is saying, because I think that to say that everybody, you know, if you want to be a PC gamer, you need to have a PC rig, that's not true anymore. That is not true anymore. You can get a Steam Deck, you can get an Asus ROG Ally, an MSI Claw, Lenovo Legion Go, any of those devices across the spectrum of great modern, handheld mobile hardware, as what the Switch is for Nintendo. Those devices have made PC gaming very accessible and not as, I think, not as much of a thing for people to be afraid of that aren't real comfortable with what a PC offers, right, for gaming, right? So I think that it's a very nice segue because it's got great hardware at some kind of price point across the spectrum of what is within most people's budgets, from a low price point closer to what a console is to a very high price point, to what you would normally spend on a full rig. Depending on what you want to get out of it, it works the same way as the Switch. You can dock it and play it on TVs if you want to sit on your couch, or you can dock it to your monitors if you want to sit in your own personal cave space for gaming, right? So to say that, PC gamers, can't have that same console experience, that's not true anymore. The lines have been blurred. And I think it's good for PC. I think it's good for gamers because console has gotten quite gross, right? With the way that they treat their consumers. Thoroughly recommend owning a Switch, but it's a different sort of console. Even the Switch 2 won't have the power to run the biggest games around, so it's an ecosystem unto itself rather than a viable alternative. I agree. Consoles can't claim to offer a cost-effective route into gaming anymore. The base PS5 is already fairly expensive in this environment of wage stagnation before you get to the $70 games. Games that, if bought on disc, you'll need to shell out for an additional drive to play on the Pro, which I talk about in my video that went public this morning on YouTube. It's a situation that's unlikely to change in the short term either, with Sony making cuts and losses on its poorly thought out live service strategy that seems to still be in motion, even if we can all see it careening slowly into a car wreck, not to mention its single player games, like most other major studios in the industry, are growing increasingly expensive and taking longer to make. This is not a business model where you can pass on savings to the consumer. Also, for all those people that were always buying into these platforms like PlayStation for the console exclusives, they're coming to PC faster than they ever have before. Agreed. Before anybody says anything, it's not real fast still, but they're coming, So the thought of spending that amount of money on that hardware solely for exclusives literally makes no sense anymore. It just doesn't. It hasn't for me for a long time, and I think now it really doesn't for most people. Xbox tried that with a subscription route and the lower entry cost through a cheaper downgraded console, but as I already mentioned and go into more depth about at the link in the opening paragraph, that strategy has also failed. I talk about that a lot too. It has emerged the lowest tier of Game Pass can no longer guarantee exclusives at launch, and possibly not at all. Sales figures, subscribers, and critical scores might all paint a picture of who won this generation, but so far, it feels like both console giants have lost and made console players the biggest losers of all. True, what's up? Happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th, yo. Yeah. I think, look, personally, everybody knows, everybody that I'm friends with, everybody that's part of this community, if we've hung out for very long together here, you know how I feel about this. I've always been a console and a PC gamer, but for quite some time now, I haven't been very much of a console gamer, and it just because it didn't compute, man. The console side just did not progress in the same fashion that PC did with being a great place for us as gamers. It just hasn't. And I think the trends continue to show that it's not a fantastic place for us. I think it honestly is continuing to give people more reason to be on PC. I don't see where people can look at the console world in large part anymore and go, yeah, this is the place to be. This is where we should be at. It just doesn't. They are, but there's differences too, right? So it's like I said. I mean, it's changing. The lines are being blurred a little bit. I mean, I attribute it to a comparison quite often. Like, so many of us like Android devices because they're more, you know, a lot of us that are PC gamers tend to use Android devices because it's more like a PC, right? Whereas like an Apple device is more like a console. Correct? I think most people would agree with that. And there's reasons why people like each for their own respective reasons. A console is more locked in. It's not as daunting of a thing for people to think about to have to use and maintain. Yeah. So obviously, yes, Pinky, for yourself and myself and people like, you know, Ferret and the other tech-minded individuals around here, we know at the core they're the same thing. But in, you know, their use and the way that people are you know, utilizing them and what they offer people, they're much different, correct? So that's what I think has always been one of the biggest things behind people deciding what they preferred to be on, yeah? Because console is very just plug and play. You don't have to worry about anything else, yeah? As far as maintaining it or the ins and outs of, you know, what you might have to manage outside of just hitting the power button and loading a game up. Correct? So that's always been one of the more appealing things to, I think, especially people that are not tech-minded people. But again, I think that we're getting to a point in the industry now where the price point plus a lot of these devices we have for PC gaming are more approachable from that direction now. From that, you know, it's the ease of access. I think it's becoming a more easily accessible thing for those kinds of people that have strayed or have always stayed away from PC because it's been such a, you know, kind of intimidating thing for them to get into, right? So, I don't know. You know, with the fact that the consoles are getting more and more expensive, as well as PC devices getting less expensive, the approachability of it for the PC devices that didn't used to be there before. As I always say, the quality of life of PC gaming as well being much, much better than anything console provides and has for quite some time. It's an easy thing for me, and I think most other people that have been gaming for a while to see that PC is where it's at. I think there's a reason why you've seen, you know, I showed that revenue chart. I think there's a reason why so many people have been gravitating towards PC for the past 5 to 10 years now, you know. It makes sense, in my opinion.